What if I told you? Hidden across the earth are plants so rare, so powerful, that their value rivals gold itself. They are treasures buried in forgotten fields, whispered about in ancient texts, and erased from modern memory. From roots that heal beyond medicine to leaves that fueled empires. These plants carried secrets of survival, wealth, and wisdom. Generations once guarded them like treasure vaults. Farmers traded them for fortunes. Kings demanded them for their courts. But as time marched forward, convenience replaced tradition, and these golden plants slipped into obscurity. Today, we unlock their stories. Welcome to Forgotten Leaf Secrets, where history's gardens bloom again, and where we reveal the 20 hidden plants worth more than gold. The 20th hidden plant is known across centuries as red gold saffron. From the fragile crocus flower bloom, only 3 delicate threads emerge, each one harvested by hand at dawn. It takes thousands of blossoms to produce a single ounce, and that ounce has been worth more than its weight in gold. In medieval markets, saffron was locked away like treasure. Kings demanded it for their feasts. Queens used it to dye robes in hues of fire, and healers prescribed it as medicine for wounds, fevers, and even melancholy. Its fragrance carried power, its color carried prestige, and its scarcity carried fortune. Families who grew saffron guarded their fields with secrecy, knowing thieves would risk everything for a handful of crimson strands. But as industrial farming rose and cheaper substitutes appeared, saffron slipped from everyday gardens. Today, only a few regions still nurture this golden spice, reminders that nature once hid wealth in petals so small, yet so priceless. The 19th hidden plant lies beneath the soil. Ginseng, the root of vitality. For centuries in Asia, ginseng was not just medicine, it was currency. Traders carried bundles of roots across mountains, exchanging them for silk, silver, and even land. Its twisted shape was believed to mirror the human body. And so it was thought to heal the body itself, restoring strength, sharpening the mind, and extending life. In America, wild ginseng once grew thick in forest shadows. Farmers harvested it carefully, selling roots overseas for fortunes that sustained entire families. Children were taught to recognize its serrated leaves, mothers dried the roots for teas, and fathers treated it as a legacy crop, one that could secure wealth for generations. But greed and overharvesting silenced its abundance. Forests were stripped, roots vanished, and ginseng became rare, almost mythical. Today, cultivated ginseng still commands high prices, but the wild roots, the ones that carried centuries of power, are nearly gone. They remain as whispers of a time when a single root could be worth more than gold. The 18th hidden plant is the fragrance of desire. Vanilla, born from the orchid flower, its pods hold a flavor so rare that empires once fought to control it. In ancient Mexico, the Totonac people guarded vanilla vines as sacred, offering them to kings and warriors. When Spanish explorers carried it across the seas, vanilla became a treasure of Europe, reserved for royalty, blended into chocolate and whispered about in courts as the flavor of luxury. But vanilla is no ordinary crop. Each flower blooms for a single day and must be hand-pollinated with precision. Farmers rose before dawn, carefully touching blossoms with sticks, knowing that one mistake could erase an entire harvest. The pods then required months of curing, drying, and fermenting before their aroma was released. Because of this labor, true vanilla became rarer than gold. Today, most of the world consumes synthetic substitutes, while authentic vanilla pods remain hidden treasures, reminders that nature once wrapped wealth in fragrance, and that patience was the price of luxury. The 17th hidden plant grows not in silence, but in speed. Bamboo. In Asia, bamboo was called the plant of 1,000 uses. It built homes, bridges, weapons, paper, and even musical instruments. Its shoots fed families, its stalks carried water, and its strength rivaled steel. Legends tell of villages rising overnight, built entirely from bamboo. Children played in bamboo groves, mothers cooked tender shoots, and fathers crafted tools that lasted generations. It was wealth in plain sight, a plant that grew faster than any tree, replenishing itself endlessly, offering abundance without exhaustion. But as concrete and plastic conquered the modern world, bamboo was dismissed as primitive. Its groves were cut down, its wisdom forgotten, its versatility ignored. Yet today, architects and designers rediscover bamboo's strength, calling it the green steel of the future. It remains proof that wealth does not always glitter. Sometimes it grows quietly in hollow stalks that rise toward the sky. The 16th hidden plant glows like jewels in the wild. Blueberries. Native to North America, these tiny fruits were once treasured by indigenous tribes who dried them for winter survival. Mixed them into stews and used them as medicine for fevers and coughs. Blueberries were not just food, they were lifelines, packed with strength and resilience. When settlers arrived, they too discovered the power of these berries. Families gathered in meadows, children stained their hands with purple juice, and mothers baked pies that carried the taste of summer into every season. Blueberries became symbols of abundance, of nature's generosity, of health hidden in small, round treasures. But as industrial farming rose, wild blueberries were overshadowed by commercial varieties. The ancient wisdom of harvesting them from untouched lands faded, leaving behind only cultivated rows. Yet even today, scientists call blueberries superfoods, proof that these tiny fruits still hold wealth beyond measure. Wealth not of gold, but of life itself. The 15th hidden plant is the green treasure of the Americas. Avocados. Long before they became symbols of modern diets, ancient civilizations like the Aztecs revered them as food of fertility and strength. Their creamy flesh was more than nourishment. It was luxury, reserved for nobles and warriors. Families in Mexico grew avocado groves that fed generations. Children climbed trees to pluck the heavy fruits. Mothers mashed them into sauces that flavored feasts, and fathers traded them in markets where avocados were worth more than silver. The fruit's oil was used for skin, its seeds for dyes, and its flesh for survival. But as global demand exploded, avocados became green gold. Entire economies shifted to grow them. Water supplies drained and orchards expanded across continents. What was once a humble fruit of heritage turned into a billion-dollar industry. Yet beneath its modern fame lies its forgotten story that avocados were once sacred treasures. Hidden in gardens, valued like gold long before the world discovered their worth. The 14th hidden plant is a crimson jewel of the East, goji berries. For centuries, these tiny red fruits were treasured in China, called the elixir of life. Legends claimed monks who ate them lived longer, saw clearer, and carried strength into old age. Goji berries were dried in baskets, brewed into teas, and offered as gifts to emperors who valued them more than silver. Families believed the berries carried protection. Mothers gave them to children to ward off sickness. Fathers planted them along garden walls, and healers prescribed them for vitality. Their taste was tart yet sweet, their power hidden in antioxidants long before science gave them a name. But as modern diets shifted, goji berries faded from everyday life. Only recently have they returned, branded as superfoods, sold in glossy packages across the world. Yet their true story lies in forgotten gardens where goji berries were once sacred treasures. Worth more than gold. Not for their price, but for the life they promised. The 13th hidden plant glows in the night. Dragon fruit, born from the cactus that blooms under moonlight. Its skin is a blaze of pink, its flesh speckled with black seeds, and its name carries the mystery of fire and legend. In ancient times, dragon fruit was rare, harvested only when the cactus flower opened for a single night. Families treated it as a gift from the heavens, a fruit of resilience, thriving in deserts where little else survived. Children marveled at its colors, mothers sliced it into feasts that dazzled guests, and fathers traded it in markets where its rarity commanded fortune. Dragon fruit was more than food. It was spectacle, a living jewel that turned barren lands into treasure fields. But as global demand grew, dragon fruit spread across continents, losing its aura of mystery. Today, it is sold in supermarkets, photographed for its beauty, consumed for its health. Yet beneath its modern fame lies its forgotten truth. That dragon fruit was once a hidden plant of survival, blooming in silence, glowing like gold beneath the stars. The 12th hidden plant sways gently in purple waves, lavender. For centuries, its fragrance was more than perfume. It was medicine, protection, and wealth. In medieval Europe, lavender fields stretched across hillsides, harvested by families who believed its scent could ward off plague and evil spirits. Mothers tucked lavender sprigs into children's pillows to bring calm dreams. Healers crushed its blossoms into oils to soothe wounds, and traders carried bundles of lavender to markets where its value rivaled silver. Lavender was not just beauty, it was survival. Its oils preserved clothes, its fragrance cleansed homes, and its blossoms carried peace into restless nights. But as chemical perfumes and synthetic medicines rose, lavender's role diminished, fading into gardens as decoration. Yet even today, its purple fields remind us of forgotten wealth, that nature once hid fortune in fragrance, and healing in petals worth more than gold. The 11th hidden plant hides its power in thick green leaves. Aloe vera. Ancient Egyptians called it the plant of immortality. Its gel was used to heal burns, preserve skin, and even embalm pharaohs. In desserts, aloe was survival itself, storing water in its flesh, offering medicine in its sap, and thriving where other plants withered. Families kept aloe pots by their doors. Mothers broke leaves to soothe children's wounds, and fathers traded its healing gel in markets where it was valued like treasure. Its reputation spread across continents, from India's Ayurveda to China's herbal medicine. Aloe vera was a universal cure, a plant that carried wealth in health. But as pharmaceutical industries rose, aloe vera was dismissed as folk remedy. Only recently has science rediscovered its power, branding it in cosmetics, drinks, and medicines. Yet beneath the modern packaging lies its forgotten truth that aloe vera was once a hidden plant of survival, worth more than gold, not for its rarity, but for the life it preserved. The 10th hidden plant is nature's sweetest secret. Stevia. Long before sugar dominated the world, indigenous tribes in South America plucked stevia leaves to sweeten teas and medicines. Its taste was pure, its sweetness far stronger than cane sugar, yet it carried no burden of calories. Families treated stevia as a gift of balance. Mothers brewed it into herbal drinks for children. Fathers chewed its leaves during long journeys, and healers used it to treat ailments of digestion and fatigue. It was wealth, not measured in gold, but in health, a plant that offered sweetness without harm. But as refined sugar conquered markets, stevia was silenced, dismissed as primitive. Only in recent decades has science rediscovered its power, branding it as a natural alternative, a savior in a world drowning in sugar. Yet beneath the modern packaging lies its forgotten truth that stevia was once a hidden treasure, a leaf worth more than gold for the life it preserved. The 9th hidden plant glows like fire in the soil. Turmeric. For thousands of years, it was the golden root of India, a spice, a medicine, a sacred offering. Its color symbolized purity, its taste carried warmth, and its healing power was revered in Ayurveda. Families used turmeric in every meal. Mothers rubbed it on wounds to heal faster, and priests offered it in rituals as a symbol of protection. It was wealth in every household, a root that carried both flavor and survival. When traders carried turmeric across oceans, it became a treasure of global markets. European merchants valued it like gold, blending it into medicines and dyes, while explorers wrote of its miraculous powers. But as synthetic drugs rose, turmeric was pushed aside, forgotten as mere spice. Today, science calls it a superfood, rediscovering its anti-inflammatory strength, proving what ancient wisdom always knew: that turmeric was never just a root, but a golden treasure hidden in the earth. The eighth hidden plant climbs high on trellises. Hops. Long before modern breweries, hops were treasured for their bitter flowers that preserved beer and gave it flavor. In medieval Europe, monks cultivated hops in monastery gardens, carefully drying the cones to brew drinks that lasted longer than water itself. Beer became safer to drink than rivers, and hops became wealth, traded across towns, demanded by kings, and guarded like treasure. Families who grew hops passed down knowledge of harvest timing, knowing that a single day too late could ruin the crop. Children played among tall vines, mothers brewed herbal tonics, and fathers sold hops in bustling markets where their value rivaled spices. But as industrial brewing rose, hops became commercialized, stripped of their heritage. Yet even today, craft brewers rediscover their magic, calling hops the soul of beer. They remain proof that wealth can grow in vines, hidden in cones that carried survival, flavor, and fortune worth more than gold. The seventh hidden plant is the ancient grain of the Andes, quinoa. For thousands of years, Incan farmers called it the mother grain, believing it was a gift from the gods. Its tiny seeds carried protein, resilience, and strength, enough to feed armies, sustain villages, and survive harsh mountain climates. Families sowed quinoa in terraces carved into stone. Mothers cooked it into stews that warmed cold nights, and fathers offered it in rituals to honor the sun. It was wealth in every handful, a grain that carried survival in lands where little else grew. When Spanish conquerors arrived, quinoa was suppressed, replaced by wheat, its sacred role erased from history. But centuries later, the world rediscovered its power, branding it as a superfood, exporting it across continents, and turning it into a billion-dollar crop. Yet beneath the modern fame lies its forgotten truth that quinoa was once a hidden treasure of survival. A grain worth more than gold for the life it sustained. The sixth hidden plant hides its fortune inside a hard shell: macadamia nuts. Native to Australia, these creamy nuts were once food for indigenous tribes, gathered from wild groves and treasured for their rich taste and energy. When European settlers discovered them, macadamias quickly became luxury, a nut so rare, so difficult to crack, that its value soared across continents. Families who grew macadamias treated them as inheritance. Mothers roasted them for feasts. Fathers traded them in markets where their price rivaled spices, and children learned patience as they cracked shells tougher than stone. It was wealth hidden in orchards, a treasure that took years to mature but rewarded generations. Today, macadamia nuts are among the most expensive in the world, branded as gourmet delicacies. Yet beneath their modern fame lies their forgotten truth that macadamias were once survival food, a hidden plant worth more than gold, carrying both nourishment and fortune in every bite. The fifth hidden plant burns with fire: wasubi. In Japan, this rare root was more than spice. It was medicine, protection, and wealth. Its sharp flavor was believed to cleanse the body, kill bacteria, and preserve fish, making it essential in a land where raw seafood was staple. Families cultivated wasabi in mountain streams where cold waters nurtured its roots. Mothers grated it into meals that carried both flavor and safety. Fathers guarded patches of wasabi like treasure, and traders sold it in markets where its rarity commanded fortunes. True wasabi was so scarce that only nobles and emperors could afford it regularly. But as demand grew, substitutes replaced the real root, and authentic wasabi became almost mythical. Even today, most of the world consumes imitation paste, while the true plant survives only in hidden valleys. It remains a living jewel of Japan, proof that wealth can burn in flavor, a root worth more than gold for the life it protected. The fourth hidden plant has carried both controversy and cure: medicinal cannabis. Long before modern debates, ancient healers used its leaves and resins to ease pain, calm the mind, and treat illness. In China, cannabis was recorded in medical texts thousands of years ago. In India, it was offered in rituals, brewed into drinks, and revered as a sacred plant of healing. Families once grew cannabis in gardens, mothers prepared tinctures for fevers, and fathers used its fibers to weave ropes and cloth. It was wealth in every sense: medicine, material, and survival. But as laws changed and stigma grew, cannabis was erased from households, branded as forbidden, its wisdom silenced. Only recently has science rediscovered its potential, unlocking treatments for chronic pain, epilepsy, and more. Yet beneath the modern headlines lies its forgotten truth that cannabis was once a hidden plant of healing, valued like gold for the life it preserved. The third hidden plant blooms in mystery: exotic orchids. In ancient times, orchids were symbols of wealth and power, cultivated by emperors and nobles who saw them as living jewels. Their blossoms carried meanings of love, fertility, and prestige. Traded across continents as treasures rarer than gemstones, families who grew orchids treated them as inheritance. Mothers nurtured delicate blooms in clay pots. Fathers sold them in markets where their price rivaled gold, and children learned patience as they watched flowers unfold slowly, like secrets revealed. Orchids were not just beauty, they were currency. Collectors risked journeys into jungles to find rare species. Explorers wrote of their allure, and kings demanded them for palaces. But as mass cultivation rose, orchids became common, their sacred aura fading. Yet even today, rare species command fortunes, proving that orchids remain hidden plants of wealth, blossoms worth more than gold, carrying stories of prestige and desire across centuries. The second hidden plant is a relic of fragrance: the vanilla orchid in its rarest form. Unlike the cultivated pods we know today, ancient varieties were so scarce that explorers risked jungles and storms to find them. Its blossoms opened for a single day, demanding human hands to pollinate them. And its pods required months of curing before their aroma was revealed. Families who guarded these orchids treated them as sacred. Mothers stored pods in clay jars. Fathers traded them in markets where their price rivaled gold. And children learned patience as they watched flowers bloom only once in a season. It was wealth hidden in petals, fragrance that carried prestige, and rarity that commanded fortune. Today, most of the world consumes synthetic vanilla, while the true orchid relic survives only in hidden groves. It remains proof that nature once wrapped wealth in blossoms, treasures worth more than gold, carried in fragrance that kings and queens once demanded. The final hidden plant, number 1, rises from muddy waters with purity: the sacred lotus. For thousands of years, it was revered across Asia as a symbol of rebirth, wealth, and divine wisdom. Its seeds could survive for centuries. Its blossoms opened with the sun, and its roots nourished families who believed the lotus carried the power of eternity. In temples, priests offered lotus flowers to gods, mothers placed petals in cradles for protection, and fathers traded seeds in markets where their rarity commanded respect. It was wealth not measured in coins, but in meaning, a plant that carried survival, spirituality, and prestige. Even today, scientists marvel at lotus seeds that sprout after hundreds of years, proving its timeless resilience. The sacred lotus remains a living jewel, a plant worth more than gold, not for its price, but for the eternal life it symbolizes. And so, from saffron's crimson threads to the lotus's eternal bloom, we have uncovered 20 hidden plants worth more than gold. Each one carried wealth in its own way, in flavor, in healing, in survival, in beauty. They are treasures erased by time, yet still alive, waiting to be remembered. This was Forgotten Leaf Secrets. If you found wonder in these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe, because the world still hides secrets in its leaves.